We'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll rove across the salt sea, till we strike soundings in the channel of old England, from Ushant to sailing to 30 for 34 years.
Hello everyone, it's Matsimus and thank you for joining me on today's video. We're going back to some naval videos today, and very special one today in particular because we are talking today about the fantastic HMS Queen Elizabeth. Yes, it is finally time for the UK to step back into the Royal Navy's dominance on the seas with these behemoth of an aircraft carrier for the Royal Navy. Now, obviously we've been producing these things for quite some time. It's taken many years to get them actually onto the water, and I personally bring a little tear to my eye seeing these things come out of port. The Queen Elizabeth, to have a name like that, you need to be the utmost standard in naval, class for the Royal Navy, and she is definitely fulfilling that task. As always, guys, with my videos, we're going to do a little bit of an overview of the ship itself, its specifications, its history and such. We're going to go over a little video that the contractors in the Royal Navy made, kind of promotional video for this ship. And then finally, my own personal opinions, which in advance are going to be extremely positive and probably a little bit biased, but that's okay because I'm a proud British veteran and very proud of the Royal Navy and its history. And this ship is definitely going to be an amazing addition to the Royal Navy. So first of all, let's just go over a little bit of an overview of this ship. So the HMS Queen Elizabeth, otherwise known as RO8 aircraft carrier, heads the new two-strong Queen Elizabeth class group, which will be joined by the HMS Prince of Wales RO9 as the British Royal Navy transitions from its Cold War era design to a much more modern and updated class of aircraft carrier. This ship represents an entirely new generation of carriers for one of the most storied navies in the world, and are expected to be commissioned for service between now and 2018 and 2020 respectively for each ships. Unlike modern aircraft carriers, the Queen Elizabeth class will be conventionally powered as opposed to nuclear, which has brought along a lot of controversy, which we'll talk a little bit later on about. And it will also feature an inline flight deck as opposed to an extra angled receiving deck, as well as two island superstructures as opposed to the one that we see on American aircraft carriers and others around the world. The power of the aircraft carrier in a modern conflict was really driven home for the British during the Falklands War in 1982 against Argentina. The war proved to be a British victory and saw the heavy utilisation of revolutionary Hawker Siddeley Harrier vertical short takeoff and landing aircraft, which were launched with regularity, and I really do stress that, a lot of the time against Argentinian targets and in combat air patrol situation. The war lasted over 2 months and cost British efforts around 255 members being killed to the Argentinian losses of 649. However, in May of 1997, the newly formed British government began its Strategic Defence Review. Yes, we all hate those three words put together because it means budget cuts, which sought to evaluate the current and future state of British military strength and capabilities. It was deemed that its current Cold War era class of aircraft carriers were really not up to the task of the expected near future conflicts that would focus more on contained conflicts, as they became in Afghanistan and Iraq. The class was originally intended to resemble a modern American carrier in their physical design, complete with the angled receiving deck and starboard island superstructure. In May 2012, authorities finally elected to follow the British Cold War approach and feature an inline flight deck, which coincided with the decision to purchase the new American Lockheed F-35B Lightning II, essentially the new Harrier but on a modern age. To facilitate in its short takeoff quality, the Queen Elizabeth class will feature a skip-type ramp at its bow, offset to the port side to provide a greater lift across the shorter runway distance of the fighter, quite similar, guys, really to the Ark Royal. The ramp is designed by BAE Systems and Lockheed Martin and supplies an increased payload to outgoing aircraft for up to 20%, though at a greater cost as stretches it to the undercarriage. The ramp measures 200 feet long and 20 feet high in an incline of around 12.5 degrees, the longest such ramp ever fitted to a naval vessel. The flight deck will support all of the latest British helicopters for the purpose of all at-sea reply, special forces support, and special mission requirements such as anti-submarine warfare or ASW. The adoption of the two-island superstructure means that all flight activities will actually be governed through a dedicated island at the crew of the rear. The ship operations are then managed at the forward island, basically the captain and his crew managing the ship itself in sailing. Both superstructures will be set to the starboard side of the centerline. The flight deck will be serviced by a pair of hangar elevators, one located between the two islands and the other at the aft of the rear island to keep the flight deck as clear as traffic as possible. This is crucial, guys, to keeping flights actually getting off the deck, and I don't know if you recently watched my live stream with that deck carrier game, which is actually a lot of fun, but it really does go to show that, if you've got a busy flight deck, you really need to have things streamlined. The HMS Queen Elizabeth was ordered on May 20th, 2008, with the charge given to the primary contractor BAE Systems Surface Ships, and her keel was laid down on July 7th, 2009, with an expected launch to sea date sometime in 2017, which we're seeing right now. Commissioning is estimated in 2018, although they're saying now it may actually go into 2020. Her home port will be HMNB Portsmouth in the south central portion of the United Kingdom, with perfect access to the English Channel just in case those Frenchies or Spanish come try and take us over again. As built, HMS Queen Elizabeth will displace 64,600 tons and feature a running length of around 932 feet. She will have a beam of 240 feet, and her crew complement her in the range of around 600 personnel, of those of which are actually on the ship right now, as you can see by this footage, buying freaking toffee bars. Random. The island superstructures and aircraft lifts will be positioned along the starboard, along with the central and port side of the deck service, reserved for launching and receiving both fixed and rotary wing aircraft. As of me basically making this video, it's assumed that the vessel will be supporting the F-35B Lightning II strike fighters. Hopefully there's no more budget cuts from the government, but we will see. There will also be the Lynx Wildcat utility ASW or anti-submarine warfare aircraft, along with the Boeing Chinook tandem twin rotor transport used for special forces and main British Army units, along with Royal Marines. There will also be the Augusta Westland Boeing Apache attack helicopter, which basically is going to be able to kick some ass in terms of anti-tank, anti-personnel combat, and the A101 Merlin transport ASW helicopter also. The carrier has been designed to support a full complement of around 40 aircraft, while its fully modern and technologically advanced systems and processing stations will actually ensure a really good efficiency when launching and receiving these aircraft, as speed is key when trying to get aircraft in and out of a combat situation in naval warfare. The ship will be conventionally powered and will actually be given the power made possible by two Rolls-Royce British Marine Trent MT30 gas turbine engines, roughly pushing out around 48,000 horsepower, each mated to 2 times Wärtsilä diesel generators of 15,000 horsepower each. There will also be 2 Wärtsilä diesel generators of 12,000 horsepower each, and a maximum speed of this beast will be 25 knots, with an impressive operational range of approximately 11,800 miles. While her air wing will, for all intents and purposes, represent her primary armament, the warship will also be outfitted with base defensive-minded weapon systems to protect her from incoming aerial threats. This will include 2 times 20mm Phalanx Close-In Weapon Systems, or CIWS, and support for the Aster surface-to-air missiles through launcher installations along the side of the ship. There are plans to include several 30mm autocannons also mounted on the side of the ship, as well as close-service miniguns, as a threat from high-speed light suicide craft as remains a high possibility for irregular enemy forces onto ships nowadays. Additionally, the defensive systems will protect against both aircraft and cruise missiles, and further defenses will be strengthened by the accompanying fleet vessels on station with the carrier. She will always be protected, guys, whether it's by a destroyer, submarine, or any other type of naval vessel. She will never be on her own in some way or regard. She'll be protected. This is a huge investment for the Royal Navy, guys. Billions of dollars have gone into these ships, and they're not going to just send them out on a little, cabbie to go and get some milk. There's a lot going on this ship, so they're going to protect it to the nines. In terms of timings then, July 2014, HMS Queen Elizabeth was formally christened on July the 4th, 2014 by Queen Elizabeth II, marking a milestone in the construction for the vessel. So guys, we're going to go over a bit of an overview of this ship made by the Royal Navy and the contract. It's actually quite interesting, so I hope you enjoy.
Well, I think the day of naming is such an important milestone in which to reflect on the journey that has finally reached this point. I mean, I'm enormously proud as a naval officer to being part of this journey and part of this project. It's a reflection of a massive effort by an astonishingly large number of people. In the service, of course, the Navy and the Air Force, but also civil servants, industrialists, ship designers, technologists, all of whom have taken us on this 20-year journey.
The flight deck area and the size of the ship provides a real impact on the world stage. It's 65,000 tonnes of British sovereign territory that can deliver a wealth of power to protect the nation's interests around the world.
HMS Queen Elizabeth will be the centrepiece of Defence's joint approach to warfare. The air group of Lightning II jets, which will operate from her 4-acre deck, will be a mix of Royal Navy and Royal Air Force aircraft and pilots. These 5th generation jets are Premier League. They are not so much a step change as a revolutionary leap in capability.
The ship's company is no bigger than it is on a CVS, but we've got 3 times the real estate. The automation, the remote sensing, the remote viewing, all of these systems now are designed to make this a much more efficient ship for people to operate in. Technology is more advanced than it was in previous years, so we're able to exploit that technology to make this ship much more effective.
The ship does that by lifts, by these automated magazines, by a really clever, highly mechanised weapon handling system for prepping weapons for the aircraft.
The ship and the aircraft have been designed with each other in mind from the outset. The automation on the ship will absolutely improve the orchestration required in order to launch and recover these aircraft. And whether it's taking off using the enormous power of that engine and afterburner, or even a short takeoff, which is amazing to watch, it's a fantastic capability. With the convergence of technologies in F-35, the range of sensors, the weaponry, the inbuilt stealth technology, and the ability to be able to downlink real-time information to a Queen Elizabeth class carrier or to land-based facilities puts UK defence at the leading edge of technology into the future.
It's probably one of the biggest systems integration tasks that the UK have ever seen. Not only is it interconnecting the ship, but the systems then interconnect with a vast degree of systems off board, from satellites to surveillance aircraft and back to joint command centres back in the UK.
As well as military flexibility, HMS Queen Elizabeth and her embarked forces provide political and diplomatic choice. In disaster relief operations, she can be placed close in to offer help in rebuilding shattered lives. In times of crisis and tension, she can offer a visible, coercive presence or position out of sight, a flexible means of escalating or de-escalating as the national or international will dictates.
These carriers are not just fast jet aircraft carriers. They have the ability to carry large numbers of helicopters, including the Royal Air Force's Chinook. And with those aircraft alongside the Army's Apache, we will have the ability to mount raids far into enemy territory anywhere in the world.
The Army Air Corps are very much excited about operating from the new carriers, both in terms of our Lynx Wildcat and also the helicopter I fly, which is the Apache. These carriers will allow us to strike with the Apache further inland with bigger munitions load, greater fuel, bigger reach, and thus we can protect the nation's interests far better.
HMS Queen Elizabeth is also serving as a turbocharger for deeper international partnership. Already, Royal Navy and Royal Air Force personnel are being trained in carrier skills in the United States, and our personnel are also serving within the French Carrier Strike Group. It's laying strong foundations with our key strategic partners as we look to share responsibilities in the years which lie ahead.
I think there's an absolute paradigm shift in what defence is able to do with this ship. We've seen what we can do with our current ships, a ship 3 times the size, with the firepower that we can deploy and the humanitarian support we can offer. It's a legacy for the Royal Navy.
She'll have new radars throughout her life, new computer systems. So all of that stuff that makes a ship work will change over time. And of course, if I just project forward to the outer service date, which will be in close to 50 years' time, and just think that the last CO of this ship hasn't been born yet, it really does show you that it is a once-in-a-generation decision.
In this new century, HMS Queen Elizabeth heralds a new era of inter-service and international partnership. And in offering genuine strategic choice in support of our nation's interests around the world, she will be the jewel in the crown of UK defence.
The HMS Queen Elizabeth is a transformation for the Royal Navy and for the entire British Armed Forces and indeed for the country. She's a strategic asset that's going to be playing on the world stage for the next 50 years. So while she's been in build for the last couple of years, now we've got to understand how we're going to actually use her and operate her. The day is coming very quickly when HMS Queen Elizabeth will be sailing from the Firth of Forth into the North Sea for her sea trials. And I think for the thousands of people who have been working this project, it's going to be a very exciting, and I have to say, a very proud day. Very proud day for the nation, proud day for the shipyards around the country that have helped build parts of the ship, an exceptionally proud day for me as the first captain. When I take that ship, we put power through the water and we take her out, and wow, what a great journey we've got ahead of us. Well, I have to say, when I drive HMS Queen Elizabeth through past the Round Tower into her home, which will be Portsmouth Naval Base, it's going to be a very special day. I think and I hope that hundreds and thousands of people will come down to watch this magnificent ship, the largest ship the Royal Navy's ever had.
So there you have it, guys, an absolute beautiful ship. I mean, looking at this thing, the size of it compared to what she's replacing with the Ark Royal classes back in the day, it's just incredible being able to match some of the bigger aircraft carriers that are out there. And I mean, let's be honest here, guys, the Royal Navy has quite a history behind itself, and it's about time we had some flagships that can match that reputation. I am very proud to see that the Royal Navy is getting what it deserves. Personally, I feel we should have 3, maybe even 4 of these things. 2, I really don't feel is enough. But you know, at the end of the day, the taxpayer's paying for it, and we're not going to be arguing with the British public to spend more and more money on more and more ships. But I'm just glad the Royal Navy is getting something that they can actually utilise for future operations. The controversy that really lies with this ship is the F-35B. Let's be honest here, guys, they've been waiting for the aircraft. We're probably going to be waiting for them quite a while longer. We'll see. There's a lot of different reports coming out. But considering it's taken this long to make the aircraft carrier, and we knew that they needed an upgraded jet to go on there, it's kind of embarrassing to see that the jets aren't literally out of the box ready to go straight on the ship. Maybe they are, maybe we're just not getting the full picture here, but it's a little worrying to know that they've had a lot of concerns of the F-35 going on these ships. But in terms of overall assets that this ship can actually provide, I'm talking more along the lines of helicopter support. It's got a huge military capability. Having the Apaches there, the Merlins, and all that good stuff, along with the the Chinooks, to be able to drop in both special forces, regular forces, Marines, whatever it may be, and really have the capability to rearm and refuel those helicopters very, very quickly. That's a huge capability for an aircraft carrier, and the ability to hunt down subs too that could come get her. I mean, that's a huge threat to this ship. The biggest threat, I would say, if anything, is submarines trying to hunt her down. And this ship is definitely able to counter that threat with the multiple aircraft that it has on board to do so. So that's really, really key for me, and I'm glad they focused a lot on anti-submarine warfare, not just the whole F-35 program. I don't think this ship requires much more defense that's been given the 2 Phalanx close-in weapon systems. I personally, though, to be honest, I would prefer a couple more on there, 1 on each corner. You never know if this ship really is wanting to be taken out. They're going to launch everything they can at it. And I just don't think 2 Phalanxes are going to be able to do enough if it really is getting punched in by, anti-ship missiles and such. I guess she's going to be protected by the ships, as I mentioned before, but it always makes sense to punch another few, defensive measures on there to protect such a huge investment. I mean, what are we talking about here? Phalanx weapon systems going to cost what? 5-6 million each, I guess. When you're talking about billions of dollars for this damn thing, or pounds, let's be honest, it's a very small drop in the bucket, so it's kind of strange to see. I'm really enjoying the fact that she didn't go along the American way and decided to stick to the traditional ramp, shoot off the end, bump thing. I think that's really cool, and she gives the bit of the Ark Royal vibe, and personally I think that's awesome because I love the Ark Royal. A beautiful ship, obviously, and she still has that little bit of British hint of tradition there. She's still got that ramp off the front, which definitely brings a little tear to my eye. I'm proud to be British. But guys, overall this ship is incredible, and I'm just super happy to see her actually into the ocean going ready for her sea trials. And it'll be interesting to see how the Prince of Wales comes in the future and how well she'll do. And guys, I really appreciate you stopping by and watching today's video. Please leave me a like and a comment, let me know what you think about this ship. If you do wish to support my channel, go check out my Patreon account and hit me up on Facebook. I hope you have a wonderful day, all the best, and bye bye.